All right, welcome back to the Boys 161st Street, episode 172. Today is October 21st. There's a lot going on that isn't Yankee baseball, but there has been a lot that actually has happened that is Yankees baseball, and that's what we're here to talk about. Today is Thursday. By the time you're listening to this, if you're not listening live in the YouTube chat, I should just start this whole intro over. This is bad, but I'm not going to. We keep the tape rolling, so.
You're killing it.
No, I'm absolutely rocking it. So if you're still with us, if you stuck around after that horrible opening, we do have a lot to talk about here today. So Boone was extended 3 years. That's probably what we're going to talk about first. We wanted to take a deep dive, not necessarily into all free agents, because we don't want to go into all the free agents kind of just unorganized just yet, at least. I want to spend more time, like last time we talked about Correa, and we kind of went into just him. Today we want to talk about Matt Olson because a lot of people started to talk about it. Generally, at this point right now, whoever tends to be the rumor around Yankee Land and Yankee Twitter, we'll take a deep dive on that first, because right now we don't know who's actually going to be available because the season isn't over yet. So once the offseason starts churning around there, we'll really do like offseason plans, stuff like that. But for now, we do have a lot to talk about, and we also have the 161 awards today. So if anybody is fans of The Office, it'll be similar to the Dundies, and it's the first annual. Last episode, we did the nominations. We put those polls out for everybody to answer. So you guys, the listeners, the followers, the 161 faithful, decided who won these awards. We just nominated them. You guys did the voting. We're going to announce those today. We're going to do that after we do a little bit of the housekeeping and talk a little bit about, the other Yankee stuff that isn't as exciting as the 161 awards. But before we get today's show started, we wanted to make sure that we're all feeling good. So Chandler, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Better now, because Chandler, actually some life news. Chandler is going to be moving to the city about a 5-minute walk away from us. So this potentially is one of the last, snaps for Chandler.
Yeah, there we go.
It's one of the last episodes you'll be recording from South Carolina. So that's a big move for you. So how do you feel about that? You'll be closer to Yankee Stadium, so you'll be.
Well, that's why
it'll be easier to.
He's moving to come, record with us full time. That's why.
Right now, I'm more excited about Supply House than Yankee Stadium. Not going to be a lot of stuff happening there for a few months, but I don't know. I'm excited. I hope everything works out, and I actually am 5 minutes away from you. So, but it is confirmed that I will be there within the next 2 weeks. So.
It's fucking exciting
stuff.
It's very, very exciting.
We met this man on the internet, and now look how far we came. Look at us. Who would have thought?
I know.
So,
not me.
Aaron Boone is a Yankee. Well, a Yankee coach. Still.
Yankee.
For the next 3 years.
Boo.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm
not shocked at all.
I'm not shocked.
But
I'm
that
not
doesn't
mad, I'm
mean
disappointed.
I'm not shocked, but that does not mean that I have to be okay with it.
Here's why.
It doesn't mean I can't be upset.
Yes, I'm disappointed, and here's the reason why I'm not entirely furious. Mostly because one, there wasn't a ton of glaring head coaches that were the perfect fit to come and take the job. That's reason number one, in my opinion. Reason number two is that we fired fucking everybody else. There's no other coaches really left besides Matt Blake. The first base coach left. Third base coach was fired. Both hitting coaches were fired. So there's change happening, and people are getting cut and making room for arguably people who have more of an influence on the team than a head coach does or a manager does. So I'm happy with that aspect, that they're actually doing things, and that's why I'm not furious at the whole situation. Again, I'm disappointed, but again, I think this season, I know previous seasons are a little bit different, but this season particularly, I don't think all the blame goes on Boone. I think, obviously we talk about this all the time, but yeah, what were you saying, Chandler?
No, I just obviously the blame's not all on Boone. I'm kind of shocked it was 3 years. I don't really think he deserves 3 years plus an option year. I think if nothing else, it kind of just proves how much of a puppet he is, I guess, for lack of a better term. I'm not mad, like punching air or anything, as Luke likes to say. I'm not surprised because we all knew it was coming. So I'm not mad. It's just, I think it's telling enough if you have to fire everybody and then, their words, not mine, find a yin to his yang. Like, if your manager can't fire up his own guys or make decisions, and you have to fire everybody and then search extra hard to find somebody to keep your head coach in check and to get the team where they need to be. If you're hiring assistants to get your manager where he needs to be, I think that's all you need to know about the manager. But he's, at the end of the day, he's not going to win or lose them a division probably. If had he made some better decisions in the last offseason or the last season, the current season, whatever, yeah, we may have won one or two more games. We lost the East by 10, so who fucking cares? Maybe we host it, maybe things are different, but again, that's all speculative. And a lot of the stuff wasn't his fault on top of that. So you can't change the past. You can't just look at a specific instance and be like, well, if he had done X, then outcome Y would have occurred. No. But my whole thing is, if you have to find coaches that bring out the best in him, and you have to get all these guys to fill in roles that he can't do, he shouldn't be the head of the ship.
Yeah, but I think that I agree with that. But I also feel like, from like what you mentioned before, I feel like his impact is very much game to game in terms of he makes some questionable bullpen decisions or lineup decisions or pinch hitting or whatever it may be. Like, some of those things are questionable, and some of those things, yes, may have lost us baseball games. However, the assistant coaches, like the hitting coaches and people who are actually developing players, those are a little more long-term, season-wide impact. And
how are they more long-term than the head coach?
I see what you mean.
Because the head coach is...
You mean like because like the on-the-ground level, like actually making players better versus making moves in the game?
Yes, the head coach is making
I agree.
decisions.
What else would you think?
These guys are teaching them, like, that. For instance, the perfect thing. That Marcus Thames, whatever the fuck,
versus Matt Blake. I know.
Well, Thames.
Matt Blake did a great job this year.
No, but that is a good analogy. I don't know if that's where you were going with it.
No, I was going to say he's the one that brought in. I know that bringing in Gallo and stuff like that, there's some of it built in already, but he is ultimately responsible for the hitting approach and the lack of situational hitting. The strikeouts, the grounding into double plays, shit like that falls on the hitting coach. Obviously, not all of it. The players still have to play, whatever, for that crowd out there who thinks that everything's fine and dandy. Yes, I understand the players still have to play, but at the end of the day, the hitting coaches, the pitching coaches, look at the difference between Matt Blake and Larry Rothschild.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know about what the positional coaches and the assistants can do, is just look at that year over year, just the massive change that it makes. Having somebody with a different philosophy and a better understanding of what they're doing.
I'm with you, and I'm somebody who wasn't really on the train of, especially assistant coaches and smaller coaches like that. I'm even a proponent of the head coach not really having that much of a impact on a season, let alone a game here and there. I know decisions, like you were mentioning before, obviously have an impact on the game, but I've always been a person that is, blame. A lot of the blame goes on the players because the players evidently are the one playing the game. So, I've never been a big person who thinks that any coach has an impact, let alone a bench coach or a hitting coach or a pitching coach. But seeing that year over year change of what happened from Larry Rothschild to Matt Blake, granted, it was a complete 180 in the philosophy of pitching. He brought in a lot of the analytics, and that's what they brought him in as. And I think that's probably the best moment that the Yankees have had with analytics. Every other thing has kind of crashed and burned, so I'm glad to see that at least worked out, and maybe definitely that can stick around. And, pitching is one of the roles of baseball that analytics make the most sense in, because you look at things like spin rate, you look at things like what to do with different pitches and all these things, and different breaks and
what pitch to really rely on.
That
was one of the big things that Matt Blake brought in, was like the usability of the changeup was like one of the biggest things that he implemented into the pitcher's strategy. And that's something that, again, what Chandler was saying about approach and strategy and that kind of thing, that's where these coaches really can have some sort of like impact on it. Like Boone isn't doing that.
But Boone isn't the one on the ground level teaching. So I do agree with what you were saying before. I'm sorry for interrupting, because they are actually supposed to be the ones teaching things. But the reason why I've never been a big proponent of this is because you are professional baseball players. How much teaching are you really going to? It is going to help a little bit. It refines some things here and there, but at the end of the day,
teaching things, it's spotting things.
I agree.
These guys play every single day, take thousands and thousands and thousands of reps in a week. Eventually, you're going to develop bad habits, whether it be from fatigue or whatever. These guys are making money to spot the deficiency. If you're out there and you've been, like I said, you're taking thousands of swings in a week between cages and games and all this other shit, and then you get tired, one small change, and you're off for a month, you're paying this guy to come in, spot that quick, and flip it around so you don't have the Gallo slump, which probably isn't the best example because that's part of his game. But you don't have these prolonged slumps because you have somebody who can recognize it early, diagnose it, and get a change in. So
I agree.
I don't think it's teaching as much as spotting it and correcting, tweaking.
Yeah. So I think that's enough Boone talk. We've talked at length about, the coaching staff and how we feel about it. None of us are really that upset about it because like we said, the impact, while it is there and we're noticing it, is still minuscule and it's mainly on the players. So that's why, for those of you who are really upset about the Boone coming back, it's not really going to have that big of an impact. Yes, I would like to have a new manager, and yes, the idea of bringing a new manager in would be what I was mainly hoping that Boone would not come back for, is because then that's showing like, hey, we're gonna try and change some things. Like, I mean, that's the mainly the reason why I wanted that, and it's just a breath of fresh air with a new. Like, you can go into the next season and not know that like you're gonna get the same old shit. So that's the reason why I wanted to do that. What I wanted to move on to talk about was we talked a lot about Correa last episode and our feelings about that. And if you didn't hear that, go check that out. It's episode 171. So we talked at length about that. Right now, I wanted to bring it back up a little bit because, we assume the Yankees are going to be buyers. They didn't really have that big of an offseason last offseason. I think they're going to spend some money. They got a lot of money. That's kind of obvious. So Buster Olney comes out and said the expectation is that the New York Yankees will land a shortstop in the winter, and that will likely be Correa or Corey Seager. So that's cool to see a name like Buster Olney talk about that, because a lot of the time it's people on Twitter just saying like, hey, here's my offseason plan for the Yankees, and it's fucking some like hoodie Glaber or hoodie Odor, and just like a member of the hoodie gang breaking news about his franchise mode plans in MLB The Show. And it's cool to see that somebody actually with a reputable name is talking about these two names, that because we're the Yankees, and yes, every offseason we're like, oh, I want Garrett Cole. We got him. I want Trevor Story. I want this guy that offseason, just the top name. So it's cool to see that two of the top names that are in the biggest need are being talked about with the Yankees. I was watching MLB Network earlier today. As much as everybody hates John Heyman, he was talking about his moves and where he thinks the Yankees will get Corey Seager. That's cool to see. I just like seeing analysts say all these things. Granted, we don't know anything. The Dodgers are currently still playing baseball, so they're not fucking worried about where they're going in the offseason. Same with the Astros too. Although they did ask Correa, like we talked about the last episode about it, like in the Spanish interview, and they were talking about like where you want to go. I don't know when that was recorded, but like if he's talking about that now, it's kind of odd. And that makes me think he's gonna have a Bauer-like offseason in like the way he's gonna go about it. But yeah, I'm just happy to see that, and yeah, I'm just excited. And to top it all off, Cashman had that press conference too, and he mentioned that we were gonna go. I'm paraphrasing here, but he said we have an area of need at shortstop. We're gonna go after it. So it's nice to see all these things lining up for. We are going to get a shortstop. Glaber's not the answer at shortstop. He's going to go back to second base. Maybe that makes him better to be more comfortable there for the full season. Hopefully, he might get an award later on when we talk about the 161 awards. Not a favorable one, but I'm just happy to see the rumor mill busting around and the hot stove is starting to heat up a little bit. And offseason hasn't even fully started yet.
Mentally prepare yourself for Andrelton Simmons.
I said that to Damon. That's funny you said that. It's like, I think I said that to you. It's like we're looking at all these names and imagine we just end up with Andrelton Simmons.
It's going to be Andrelton Simmons or Freddie Galvis. Don't do this to ourselves.
Well, here's the thing. It's funny you bring that up because let's say the Yankees don't, because a whole wrinkle in this is Anthony Volpe. So like, let's say they don't get one of the free agents.
I don't think he's really a factor.
Do you end up just getting Andrelton Simmons and then like worst case scenario? Like, I mean, it also depends on these other two guys. Like these other two guys have to want to come here. It's not like they could give them all the money in the world, but a lot of other teams can do that too. So when you do that, like what happens if you don't get the top two options? Do you just like then move on to who knows what's gonna happen with Trevor Story? Who knows what's gonna happen? What are the other names on this list for the shortstop?
Simeon.
Like, do you go for a Simeon just because you kind of have to, and now you're locked into a potentially bad contract? Because he's coming off
old.
He's coming off a career year. He's gonna ask for a lot of money, and you like, do you want to settle? Is my question for a guy like that who already was moved to second base this season. So like that's my main question here. Or do you get a guy who's a known commodity at shortstop, spend elsewhere, and wait for Volpe to come up next year? Because that's what I would do if you missed out on the guys you actually wanted.
I would.
My whole thing is with Volpe and them, with any prospect, any big time prospect in general, make them force their way into the lineup. You don't spend in an off season like this with a shortstop class like this. You don't play it cool and like, oh, well, look at our farm system. No, absolutely not. You go get the best available that you're willing to spend money for, and you deal with the rest later. Look at the Bo Bichette, Marcus Semien, and Kevin Biggio whole thing they did there. The best teams find players and get the best players possible. And if you have a guy like that, you find a place for him. That's the whole thing. And that premise goes back to Little League. Play well enough and they'll find a place for you. It's the same thing with Volpe. There's no way that if Volpe's still doing the same thing, he's not going to make the big leagues, even if you have Corey Seager. They'll find a spot for him. That's all I'm saying. I don't think you can base moves now, a move that could affect you for 5-6 years, based on hoping a 19, 20, 21-year-old pans out.
I also don't think there's time to do that.
Exactly.
Like here, who's our biggest financial commitment right now?
Stanton.
Garrett Cole.
Cole, yeah. So I forgot about him.
We just signed him to be our ace.
He's easy to forget about after that.
We signed him to be our ace, and we paid him that much money for his prime, which is right now. We didn't pay him to be the Garrett Cole in 4 years. Like, we're paying him to be the Garrett Cole that he is right now. And if you don't sign some, I don't like. There's a
window. I know what you're saying.
If you continue to wait, the window's closing, and then that financial commitment is now useless.
Well, I wouldn't even. I get what you're saying. There's a window in terms of like, yeah, you have him. You have a lot of huge financial commitment to him, and there's a window, I guess, in the ability to put together a team around Cole. But when you talk about window, the window is like a financial window. The window to win a World Series is not even open yet. We don't have a team that like we have to manufacture a championship window. You know what I mean? Like we have a lot committed to Cole, and we want to put a team around him, but we are not even in a championship window. Like the teams that are in a championship window are the teams that are currently playing right now, probably minus the Red Sox. But like we need other people right now. I agree with you, but I almost feel like. And what I was saying too, I know you're not going to plan just like pave a spot for Volpe, so he just like that's the plan. We're going to have him come up, although he's only played single A or high A ball this year, played well, but we don't want to just pave a spot for him in case he's bad or whatever at higher levels. And then you're just stuck with Andrelton Simmons and with nothing else, and then you got to spend another offseason that is a worse shortstop class. But I'm just saying, we gave Cashman all this shit for having bad contracts on the roster or on the payroll. that would be a pretty easy situation to get another bad contract. If you miss out on two top free agents that you really wanted, and then you just sign Simeon, he's old, has to transition back to shortstop after a year playing at second base because Bo Bichette's playing shortstop there, and then we're stuck with, and then what if he regresses like DJ did this year? Like that's what I'm saying about that. I would rather go with the known commodity and a shortstop if this situation were to arise and we missed out on the names we wanted, and then spend other money on maybe a Rodon, maybe, Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant is going to be available. He could be a third baseman, and then you can figure out, and Andrelton Simmons at shortstop also, and then trade for Matt Olson, who doesn't have a big contract, so you can just do that. Like, a lot of other moves can happen, and this could be a very successful offseason. It's just, I don't think that we should just sign a shortstop who's third or fourth on the list just because we have to. That's what I was saying.
I think there's something that you said there, real quick, Damon.
Yep.
That I don't think we touched on enough, and it was just like quick saying in passing. But this is something that's big. We don't have a window. That 2017 team is so far in the rearview mirror. That's what people are still hanging on to. Like, oh, we have to capitalize now. Our window's now.
No, yeah, we got to start a new one.
No, that window's fucking closed. The only thing, that whole team is gone for the most part outside of Glaber, and I don't even think Glaber was on that 2017 team. So,
no.
Yeah, because Didi hit the home run in the wild card game. So that window's closed. The only person left is Gary Sanchez, and he fucking sucks. And Judge. So it's basically Judge and Cole that you're building around now. Judge, Cole, and Stanton.
Yeah, and I wasn't talking about that window. I do agree that the opening a new window is obviously that's what we're doing. But my main point is that having Garrett Cole as our ace gives us the best chance to win a World Series in the near future. And I think that we need to capitalize on that, and that's where I'm talking about the window of that is closing, of like that kind of time frame, because
I know the financial window you have to build around him. Otherwise, you just spent money on him for no reason.
Forget about financial reasons. Like I truly believe that him being the ace of this franchise gives us the best chance to win in the short term, and we need to capitalize on that, or else you're just looking for another ace to guide you throughout the playoffs in the season.
Well, it is financial reasons also, because if you look at, let's say you wanted to start a new window in the second half of this contract you have for Cole, you're paying him the same amount, but you have an older Cole, and now what? Now you got to spend extra money
now I got to find another
to make up for the void that he had when he was in his good years. Like, that's why you have to spend now. It is financial reasons. You got to build a team around him. Otherwise, you're just playing to be mediocre, like averagely competitive, and just sell tickets. And that's kind of what they've been doing. And, at least they're talking about going after big names, because, I mean, I'm excited to see that. And if we don't, then like, what are we going to do? Like, I'm just not going to be excited if we don't have some fresh blood. I know we're going to need a bunch of new coaches like we talked about before, but like, we need some genuinely good players that hit for average. And
the lineup needs to change.
So
I mean, there's so much dead weight in that lineup that you can trim off.
And that's what I was saying too. It doesn't have to happen overnight in this one off season, because that's kind of a tall task to say, like, let's completely overhaul this team. But if I was GM, I was saying, like, you should trim the fat where you can, where there's opportunities to do so, and like maybe over the next 3 years you could have a completely different looking team, because it's not possible to just change overnight. And I said this before on the other episode, I think it was the offseason episode, that you're gonna be stuck with Stanton. Not stuck with him. You have Stanton. That's a great asset to have. We've seen that this year. You have Judge, two extremely big power bats. And now you have Gallo for this year, and is it the year after that too, or just next year?
Just this one.
But regardless, even just for this year, I was saying those three should be the only power bats you have. Those are enough to be the power hitters in a lineup of 9. And then everybody else around them, you need to surround them with just on-base guys, like a Corey Seager, who batted .306 this year, like a Carlos Correa, who gets on base and can hit for power as well, but he doesn't just live or die by the long ball. And the more you can do that, and build around Judge and Stanton as just, because we'll be done with Gallo next year, you build around Judge and Stanton as the 2 home run guys, who are 2 of the best home run guys. You don't need any other home run guys. Other guys will hit home runs. Those guys, you space them out. You don't have to put them back to back. You put them at like 3-5 or like 2-5, and then you have everybody else in between as an on-base guy who can also occasionally hit a home run, like a DJ LeMahieu, like a Corey Seager, like a Whit Merrifield, like a Starlin Marte, those kind of guys with speed, and that's a baseball team right there. And if you can do that little by little every year, every opportunity you do, and don't go in the wrong direction and just forget that the home run or bust doesn't work, and just like don't, because I feel like the Yankees just see the sexy home run pick and they're like, oh my God, like Jock Peterson's available this offseason. He had a good postseason. Let's get him because he hits home runs. Or like Kyle Schwarber, he had a good postseason. Let's go get him. Like, I'm not saying they're available this offseason, but that type of player, I could totally see them just being like, wow, look at that. That's exactly what we need on the Yankees. Like, no, you don't. You need to
They're living off the 2019 juice ball year. Year they won, the only year they've won the division since fucking who knows when.
The year that Gleyber Torres hit for 38 home runs and then he follows it up with 6.
Yeah, DJ hit almost 30 home runs. Everybody in the league was hitting 30. You could bunt a fucking short porch home run in 2019. Yeah, it works when you can do that. But guess what? In a normal season, those are just fucking fly balls, and that doesn't do anything. Like a fly ball to the outfield, and they don't even do it when it matters. When they're on third, they don't hit fly ball to the outfield. So I don't know. I think they see that and like, well, this is our path to winning the East. Look, it's worked before. Like, take into account all factors: luck, juice balls, everything. It was a perfect storm in 2019 and a great feel-good story because of the next man up shit. But that's not the reality of it. Like you said, there was 3 teams that year, I think, that beat the home run record. The Yankees being one of them. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, and look at the one that we lost the home run record to was the Twins, and look how their year went really well, didn't it? Like it's not an outlier that we were bad after the home run numbers went down. It's like we live and died by the home run ball. The home run ball was abundant in that year, and that's why we were okay, and that's why we were great and had one of the best offenses. The Twins, the same, and the Twins were one of the worst teams this year. Probably because, and we were able to not be one of the worst teams this year because our payroll is extremely high. And we actually have some players that are a little bit better than that, but they're an exact example of just like straight up home run or bust. When you take that away, we're a fucking bad team. So, us to a little bit different of an example, but like it's no secret that's why that happened. And my question to you guys to round this out, because we need to get into the 161 awards, is, and we kind of mentioned, all of the names of people that could be potential infield options. I saw a fun tweet by Max Goodman that was like, what will the Yankees starting infield look like on opening day next spring? And me personally, because we know
hopeful or what you think.
Let's do our hopefuls, and then we do accumulate all together, figure out what we actually think will happen. I think we mentioned the name Matt Olson. I really think that's a possibility. And I said this during the season too, mind you guys, and I don't know if anybody shut me down or not, but he's a perfect fit. He's a lefty power bat. Pretty sure he's for average as well. I can have to fact check that.
Career 270 hitter.
270, is he?
Yeah.
Is it a fact?
It's a fact.
Okay, 270 is perfect. Who can hit for power and is a lefty bat, and he's a gold glove defender, platinum glove defender at first base. So
disregard that. He's a career 250 hitter. He hit 270 last year.
Last year or this year? In the shortened season, he had 270?
This year. Sorry.
Okay, it's a full season of 270.
Yes.
I'm okay with that, and I don't want to, contradict myself for just saying to trim the fat just for a home run hitter, and that could be potentially, like, if he was a hit for no average, I would be like, don't go after him. But he's a good combination of both. He's a good defender at first base. Oakland is not going to keep him because they do this with players. He's a great player who has not been getting paid. They're going to get rid of him. That's just what they do. That's the Oakland motto, the mantra. So I would like to have Matt Olson at first base. Don't know much he'll cost, but we have one of the best farm systems in the league. Rizzo's not going to be back probably this year. I don't want to say that, but he's a free agent, so it's not a guarantee that he will be back. So I would personally like to have him. I wouldn't mind having Rizzo back as well. I don't think Voit will be the answer here. So why don't we
If
just
you
let's
get-
go position by position and
Well, real
and
quick, too,
chat.
just
That's
to
what I
add
mean.
on to that before we, get more into the position by position. If
That
you
was the
get one of
point.
the
I
big-
wanted you to.
If you get one of the big shortstops too, that makes
So I was gonna say,
your
yeah.
loaded middle infield minor leagues, expendable.
You're right.
So,
Where's
Makes
DJ
you-
LeMahieu going to play if we get a first baseman?
who fucking
Second
cares?
base.
Where's Glaber going to play?
I guess that moves DJ to third, and then
Where's Gio going to play?
Gio can ride Pine for all I care. I mean, he's been great, but if you have Corey Seager, you're not. I could give a fuck less about Gio. Am I wrong for saying that?
No.
Uh,
I think we saw Gio's
know.
true colors last year. I think
He wasn't fantastic this year.
that's what I was saying. This
Yeah.
year, last year, whatever. This is okay for future reference. 2021 is last year to me now.
me
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, he was hurt, which is not his fault. But even when he was playing, he was meh. He wasn't great defensively this year. I think that he kind of regressed back to the mean. So
Yeah, like he made those flashy plays, and I respect the hell out of him. I'm not talking bad
I
about Gio,
love him.
but I'm just
Absolutely love
saying,
him.
like, I mean, realistically, are you? It's if you do get Seager and you do get Matt Olson, are you gonna be upset that Gio's not starting?
No, I'm not. I'm
That
just.
answers the question.
He would be a great role player.
It's a pretty
Everybody's gonna
fantastic for when everybody gets
Everybody's
hurt.
gonna
Yeah,
get hurt. Everybody's gonna need off days because they baby the fuck out of this team. I think if you have this perfect scenario, there's no way that Gio still doesn't see 100 games.
Well, I don't. Here's the thing, and this is something I feel like I noticed when we got these new players like Rizzo and Gallo. I don't think the babying the players applied to them. I think it's just so that gives me hope that new players like Seager and other players who probably played every day at their respective teams. I don't think that's a Yankees thing that they just are buying into, like franchise wide, team wide, that they just baby every player. I think it's just how they were treating the players that we had because they were getting hurt. So unless these new players get it, because I feel like Gallo played every day that he was available to play, and he did get benched because of poor play. That's not what he didn't get benched because of like a scheduled off day. And Rizzo played every goddamn day he could, unless they wanted to give I think he played every fucking day he could. And like that's just, I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but like that gives me hope for if we do get a Correa who plays every day at his team, and we get a Seager who plays every day there. I don't think they just like slap that you're gonna get a scheduled off day routine on them. I think that's just gonna be like, I don't know. That's how I saw them handle the new people that they brought in. So it was nice for me to see at least, because I don't want that to be just the Yankee thing.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
I mean, I guess here's a question. First of all, Olson played 156 games this year.
There you go.
Do you think that just contradicts what you said before about adding another power bat though? How you say we just need Judge, Gallo, and
No, and that's what I just said. I literally
Stan.
I said that that doesn't contradict myself, because he's a combination. Like he is a lefty bat that we could use. He's a damn good defender we could use. He happens to be able to hit for power, but he also hit for 270 this year. And
Also, think about the position. First base isn't a bunch of 350 hitters.
yeah, like Rizzo is one of the top batting average first basemen. He bats like 250.
yeah.
So that's what you're gonna get at first base. We're gonna get a
Matt
catcher.
Olson almost got he was being talked about as an
MVP
for,
early on, yeah.
half the season.
I mean, he's got that, and if he plays in Yankee Stadium, he just might, because those power numbers that he has are already good, and they're gonna go up even more. And like I said, I'm not contradicting myself, because that's not why I want him. I want him for everything else. The power just happens to also be there, and he's a lefty, and that definitely fucking helps. I'm a big guy. Everybody knows I'm a big guy on defense, stealing bases, playing just all that stuff, the little things, and he'd be a nice breath of fresh air there if we do end up not going for Rizzo. Like I said, I'd be okay with Rizzo as well, but I think that's a good option there too. Going to second base, I think it's pretty obvious it's going to be Glaber. I would be blown away if it was anybody other than Glaber at second base.
Agreed.
The only way I could see it not being Glaber is if he got traded, which I don't think's off the
I
table.
don't think it's off the table, but I don't think they're actively
I don't
looking
think
for it,
I don't think it's likely.
because his value
but-
is so low.
Well, what we were talking about before, who on this team is untouchable? Judge, Stanton, Cole, the main guys hitting wise, Judge and Stanton, basically. So I don't think he's untouchable, but I
wouldn't even say that Stanton's untouchable right now because
yes.
I would, and that doesn't mean I want him to be traded. I don't. I want Stanton to be here for his entire contract because he's a damn good hitter, and we've been saying that on the podcast. But I think if they were begging people to take his contract before, like people were in Yankee land at least. I'm sure they were on the inside too. The Yankees were looking for potential areas where they can have people eat his contract a little bit. They pay some to get rid of him and free up some space, but now would be the time to trade Stanton. So I could see. I'd be shocked for sure, but I could see them trading him because he's a hot commodity right now.
Yeah.
I think there's 5% chance that happens, but I don't think that he's untouchable. I think Judge is untouchable, but I don't know, because Judge has less of a contract. So he has barely any contract. He's still in arbitration. So I don't know, but
has to get extended this offseason. I know that's a whole can of worms that we can talk about.
We have a lot of big offseason to talk about that. He said he wanted to stay in pinstripes. So
if he says that and you don't put him in pinstripes for life, then every person that has a say-so in the front office needs to.
Yeah, and the one caveat, the one thing holding him back was his health, and he played 145, 150 games this year.
And
so
the only ones he missed were because of the COVID IL, which I don't even think he had COVID. I'm pretty sure he was contact tracing that he fucking missed for.
I am curious. This is obviously going to come up in the offseason too, and this is pretty early for this to be talking about it, but I am curious because when you watch the MLB top 100 players at their position, Judge was pretty far down that list. I think he was in the 20s, and every year they would say he'd be a top 3, top 5 player in the MLB if he were to be healthy. I'm curious where he'll be at this year. I think
he'd be in the top 3.
I think he should be. I think that's awesome to see.
I'm thinking right now, right fielder wise, if there were people that I had to take,
Mookie had a down year.
I was gonna say the short list of people. If I'm building around a right fielder, Bryce Harper, Mookie Betts, Judge,
Trout. Well, just outfielders.
I'm thinking of right fielders.
But a fun little thing before we keep going too is that that narrative that is on Judge, it's starting to be on Trout now.
Trout.
Judge has played, I think, a lot more games in the last, and since Judge has been in the league than Mike Trout, and nobody's talking about it because he's not in New York. So I'm just interested to see. I feel like that narrative is going to start to become a thing. He would be number 1 if he could stay healthy. So maybe not as much as they talked about Judge, because Trout is a lot better than Judge, but something to note there. But I'm just interested
Judge too. Judge's injuries, I think he's had 3 or 4 catastrophic injuries, and I think 3/4 of them have been fucking
accidental,
just freak accidents, getting hit in the wrist and shattering your wrist, having a collapsed lung, shit like that. I mean, yeah, there's some soft tissue ones. We had the calf for however long,
the calf, the quads, that's bad. That's being injury prone, but I don't know. Other than that, let's round out this opening day infield. So first base,
shortstop, and third.
First base, are we on consensus? Olson we want, or do we want Rizzo, or somebody else?
No,
if you had to choose,
I want Olson.
Okay,
I think Olson would be awesome. I don't think it's going to happen. Ideally Olson to do that. I think the most likely scenario is DJ LeMahieu.
Do you think there's any situation where Voit is the first baseman?
If they miss out on shortstop.
Why? Because then DJ would. So you'd have to miss out on shortstop because DJ could play second base, and that.
No, well, DJ would play third, Gio would play short, and Glaber would play second. I think if they miss out on shortstop, I think that's the infield. If they presumably they're getting a shortstop.
Do you think Voit will be traded, or do you think he'll be on the team?
I think he has to be traded.
I agree.
I think they've done like I've said. I think they've done way too much to damage their relationship with him. I don't think you can bring him back. He's not going to want to be there after the way you've treated him. And his value is at an all-time low. So, but his value on the bench really, a guy like Voit, who's just basically he'd be a pinch hit home run guy. Value's low. How often are you really gonna? You don't need to be for the talent that he has. He would be so much better
even though his value is low in a trade, you're gonna get more back than just having a really good pinch hitter. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't even think his value's that low. That's the thing, because
It's lower than it was, is what I was saying. But I agree with you. I think you're still gonna get more back than the value that you'd get out of him on the bench.
Get a reliever. Go get a reliever with him. Go get a middle tier reliever that can eat innings. That's all you need.
Yeah, I think you can get a better reliever than guys like, I mean, Clay Holmes ended up panning out, but like bigger moves than that.
Yeah, well, the thing is too, and this is a whole other issue, that there's so many. This is actually making me think of more episode topics as we get into our extra long off season. But half the problem isn't that they won't spend money, it's that they don't allocate it to the right places. Half of our fucking payrolls and relievers, you're giving Britton $14 million and Chapman $14 million. Like, you have $28 million tied up in 2 relievers. You don't have to have those guys. Look at Loizaga, look at Clay Holmes. That's not that uncommon to have solid relievers that are cheaper options. And we have a shitload of hard throwing, nasty minor leaguers that, quote unquote, don't have the accuracy to be a starter. That's how you develop amazing in-house relievers. You go trade Voit for one of those guys. You bring in another reliever, maybe with a little bit of a track record. That's what pisses me off so much.
Yeah, if you had to put a percentage chance of Voit coming back, what would it be, Dan?
40.
Really?
I was gonna say less than half.
I was gonna say 42 for what's worth.
In my opinion, like, I mean, first of all, I don't think his value is an all-time low. I just think it's less than what it would have been earlier on the season.
Agreed. Led the league in home runs. In a shortened season. But
I think the thing is, though, is like we have so many people on this team that can easily be traded for big pieces that will kind of help us out, and there's no reason to wait for the right time for them to maybe get hot, that their trade value goes up, and then wait for the right times to trade for the right person. Like, there's not enough. There's so much needs to fall into place for that to happen. Like, right now, you have a player. He's a good player. People know what he can do. If you get a little less value from him, fuck it. Like, whatever. We need someone, like Chandler said, like, go get a reliever that can fill a spot. Whatever it may be. Like, there's no time to wait for some guy to potentially get hot to boost his value up, and then probably just keep him at that point, the way this team fucking does stuff. So
agreed. For the rest of the infield, because we spent a lot of time on this, I think shortstop, if you were to put the one you want, I think
Seager.
I was a big proponent of Correa last episode. Don't get that twisted. I still want Seager more, but I was giving the argument to getting Correa because I feel like it's like when you first hear the name and be like, oh, would we go after Correa? Everyone's like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Because people are either, for it because they see the rational way that this could happen and why you'd go after him because he's a good player and you could see past the bullshit, or you are so like, what are you talking about? You're an idiot. Why do you have a podcast? Who listens to you? That kind of thing. And it's just like, it's a little bit of both. It's like he's, there is bullshit that's attached to it, but I kind of want him for that. But I still want Seager more than him because Seager fits more. I don't want to get into this area where, and I said this before, where we're starting to stack lefties. And now we have the inverse of the issue that we had before, where we had all righties. Because if we get Matt Olson, and if we get,
yeah, then you're balanced because pencil.
No, I know.
Pencil in the righties.
Yes, Judge and Stanton will be there.
Glaber
will be there.
There's 4 right there. So at the very most,
I was just saying it'd be funny if that became our problem, that we have too many lefties. A year removed from when we had 9 righties in a lineup, and Hicks was the guy batting 4, and Gardy was batting 4 because we had to mix it up, but. Yeah, no, if we go after guys like Seager, who'd be a perfect fit, a lefty shortstop, awesome, he hits for average, that's the guy that we want. I think that's the one we have at shortstop. The Yankees have the money, go spend it. He obviously has to want to come here. Third base.
Do you think they'll spend money now that they reset the luxury tax?
I think that plays a factor? They will. I think if they don't, then they're genuinely going to start to lose fans. Like, they're not going to lose me, but like they're going to not see the everyday sellouts like they have used to get in the past. In the past, I know I was changing what I was saying as I was saying it, but like,
did you see they dropped to 8th in TV viewership?
I'm sure. I mean, people are going to start to not leave, but like just not tune in to every day. It is like it's tough to watch every fucking day.
I can name 7 other more exciting teams to watch.
Yeah. I can name like 26. You lose the casual fan when you just put out a consistently meh product. Like,
and that's a large part of their audience too. Like a lot of the fans aren't like us. A lot of the fans aren't like you guys, listeners, listening to a Yankees podcast on October 21st when they've been out of the playoffs for the last 2 weeks. Like you guys are the real ones that are listening to this right now. You guys care, and so do we, and that's why we're here talking about it on a random Thursday night. But
did you see that shit that Boone said when they had him on a radio show and asked him what the day he got signed? They're like, yeah, you realize that the whole fan
everybody's
base is
upset
pretty
about
upset about this. He's like, at least they care.
I mean, that's probably the best thing he could have said.
Yeah, I was gonna say fuck you.
It's just funny.
And he's right, because I mean, and I do feel bad because he's a very nice guy from what it seems like, and we've always said he's not the problem, and it's just I feel bad for the guy because he's, he seems like a good
trying.
guy.
Okay,
he is trying. I mean,
he's a good punching bag.
Yeah, I mean, back on the offseason ads note. Another reason why I think we're going to spend money is because not only just to keep the fans engaged and interested and get the ratings and money back up, is because the guys running the show right now, maybe not Hal because he doesn't have to fucking sell the team, but like Cashman is the guy going after people. He's going to really try and, because, a couple years ago, Cashman, bulletproof guy, he's got his job locked up for a long time. I feel like that's starting to become more and more a reality that he could be out the door as these years keep going.
Next year's his contract year.
Is it? Okay, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's going to spend money because he has to. Because if he runs this shit back again, there's no way that anyone with a rational mind can keep him. It's just, I mean,
no, I think
and on top of that, if he ends up getting like a bad contract on it again, let's say he gets a Simeon, like you got to get rid of him. So he's got to make the right moves, and he's got to make lots of them. So I'm excited for this offseason. We're going to cover it here on the podcast. So,
exactly. His press conference right there. Did you watch his press? You obviously did. You posted it, but that is not the press conference of a job confident man. That's not a happy, we feel good in the direction we're going. That's we better get it together or we're fucked.
Yeah.
Mentality.
So on that, actually, I wanted to go over a few of the notes that he had before we get into the 161 awards. Just some housekeeping. This is basically, to summarize, if you didn't catch the press conference, this is basically what he said at it. He said, when asked about Gary Sanchez as starting catcher going forward, he said, he's definitely come a long way defensively. We'll see if he'll be the starting catcher every year. And I'm very upset that and we'll really get into the offseason talk, like I said, like the whole rest of the plan. Right now, we're gonna put an emphasis on the shortstops because we have the 161 awards. And then we can, after this, we're gonna fully submerge ourselves in the offseason, because then once the playoffs are over too, that's the hot stove gets hot, and that'll be a lot of fun. But Tyone is expected to be fully back in 5 months following his surgery. DJ had surgery Tuesday, 8-week recovery time. One thing on DJ too is that I think, and Cashman said this as well, is he thinks that DJ wasn't DJ because of the injury. I agree with that. I mean,
he had like 6 injuries during the year.
Yeah, I really think that what is the case. That could sound like an excuse, but I mean, he had 2 top 4 MVP votes the years prior. He hit the crap out of the ball with everything. It's like, yes, the home run numbers were very high in that 1 year, but like he was just hitting the ball. The juice balls doesn't make you a better contact hitter, and he he wasn't that. And it's just like, I agree. And more often than not, when you hear like, oh, the injuries caused him to not be himself, sounds like an excuse. But I think in this case, I think you can give DJ the benefit of the doubt there.
I will, because he lost his philosophy of what made him a good hitter for so long. He stopped being the hit in the 4-5 hole, whatever it is. He was rolling over all the time and hitting lazy ground balls to the left side, which is not DJ. That was the whole thing that we loved him for, was that no matter what, he was going to put the ball in play to the right side somewhere and score the run or keep it on the ground, do whatever you have to do. And the situational things he did correctly. this year he he lost all of it. So it may have been the hernia, it may have been the tricep, the quad. I mean, name any of the injuries he had. It could have been any of those. So
agreed. Moving forward, he said Voit is resting, expected to be fully ready. He said full bore. Don't know what that means. I'm assuming that just fully ready. Don't know if that'll be on the Yankees. He didn't talk about anything related to his potential movement, but he said him as a healthy man will be ready for the offseason. Hicks is finishing off his recovery, expected to play winter ball. Darren O'Day expected to be ready by the start of the season, not the start of spring training, the start of the season. So that's fantastic. The Silver Fox will be back. Clint Frazier is in contact with the Yankees medical staff constantly about the dizziness/fogginess. And finally, he commented and said Aaron Boone is the solution. He isn't the problem. So that's basically what he said there.
I don't think he's the solution. Or
nothing groundbreaking there, but it's nice to see the injury updates. One thing I didn't see, which I was expecting to see, and kind of concerning that I didn't see it, is that he didn't mention any injury of Cole, which means he just sucked. So, I mean, I remember I was saying we're going to see in that exact press conference after the season's officially over, him say like, yeah, Cole was pitching with a ruptured Achilles or like a torn hamstring or something, especially because he was coming off injury. So like if we as Yankee fans, me as a Yankee fan, I heard that Cole was hurt during that time, be like, okay, sigh of relief. He was bad because he was hurt. Now what? Like now, I mean, maybe there's still time for him to announce that he was hurt during that, but
I think there's too much. I'm bargaining here. This is probably not.
Are
true,
you not? Does that not make you a little bit worried that?
Well, no, it does.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell myself that there's so much heat around Cole right now because of how bad he was that they wouldn't announce it unless it was something major. So maybe he was still hurt, but not anything crazy, like something
like a lingering fan just annoys you.
Yeah, like just because in a press conference like that, he's gonna be like, yeah, and then Cole is sitting at home like rubbing out the pulled hamstring. You know,
yeah.
So
like it's not like his velo was down or anything. It was just
there's no surgery.
He was just missing stuff.
Exactly. So I'm gonna tell myself that, and I don't say that confidently, but I have to, or else I'm gonna.
The season also just ended, so like.
Crazy.
Yeah, but that's the moment where he would say that. He's giving injury updates on every single other person on the team. Tyone, DJ, Voit, Hicks, O'Day, Clint, Boone, Gary. Like
it was funny. Like he went through the whole list, and like as he was getting up, was just like, and Cole's having surgery. And then he just like,
thanks guys. No more questions.
I would have honestly preferred that.
And Cole's gonna be out for the next 2 years. Thanks guys. I'm gonna go. No, I'm in all reality, it is making me a little bit nervous that he wasn't hurt. I'm not wishing injury on him.
No, I am so terrified. The best thing that can happen, better than signing Seager, is that in the new CBA, they find a universal sticky substance. That is our off-season edition that we need.
Yeah, but he got it was he. After that, he figured it out a little bit, but I think the bad time was the whole last month. No, he was. He was pretty good. Dude, during the Astros game, he didn't have sticky stuff.
One game, he was good,
but he was
good, but he wasn't a $36 million ace. That's all I'm saying.
You're right, and I think I think they will address that. That's another conversation for another time. But
it's not. We were talking about it right now.
No, like when they talk about it, like if they bring it up, we can be like, "Is this?" I think that would be a good thing for the game if you want to talk about that right now. But
no, we don't have
to.
I think they're going. I thought you meant Cole in general.
No. I think they will address that too because the players were outspoken about.
Yeah, Glass now ruptured his fucking elbow because of it.
And like they'll say how there's actual reality. Like there's a reality to it, like health reasons to why, like not just an advantage. But they'll bring up all those things.
I mean, Glasnow literally said it was the MLB's fault that he got injured.
Yeah. Did we mention third base? I think third base.
No, we didn't mention third base.
I think third base is probably going to be, in all likelihood, I hope that it's DJ, because that means we got a first baseman and a shortstop. if we miss out on, like I said, a shortstop, I wouldn't be upset about getting a guy like Chris Bryant because he can do both. He can hit for
You
average.
wouldn't be upset about getting an MVP and World Series winner, Rookie of the Year. The
Well,
guy
but
who's
he's not
literally been
top of my list, though. But those are the type of guys we're going to go after. We have the fucking money, and they're going to go spend it. So
I guess I'd be all right if we got like Max Scherzer.
I'd be really
okay.
I'd
You
be
know what
really
I meant?
surprised.
I mean, because I want Seager first and foremost, and everything else is second to that. So I wouldn't feel like we're settling, I should say, if we got it. And that's what I mean. Like, instead of settling and spending money at shortstop, there are just as good options, but you just you shift other things around, and you get that big name that actually makes sense for you to get at third base, or because he can play the outfield too. So
yeah, I'd be really shocked if we got a third baseman. I feel like our priorities are a shortstop and first base, and then we'll find someone to play third base, whether it's DJ or Scheller or splitting time, whatever it may be.
I don't know about this if you guys feel this way as well, but I just feel like every guy who got traded from the Cubs is going to go back to the Cubs. I don't know what it is about the Cubs.
Feel like that at all.
I don't know. This is a irrational personal thought, I guess, but I just feel like the Cubs just had such a good culture there that everybody wanted to be a Cub, and they will go back to being Cubs. And Rizzo felt that way. Like, everybody seemed like they were all like upset when they left.
That's because they grew a team from dog shit to the first World Series winner in 108 years together.
I guess the World Series will do that, but I just feel like for whatever reason, but like the Cubs fans are awesome fans. Everybody knows that they have an awesome stadium, good city. I just feel like everybody who got traded in that rebuild just now is all gonna go back. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like they all have an allegiance to Chicago, and they're just. I mean, Jock Peterson's using Rizzo's bat still. Like, they all love each other. I feel like they have a group chat. They definitely do, but I feel like they still have the group chat kicking. And the title of the group chat is like, when are we going back, or like the date that the next offseason starts or the next spring training starts. It's like Chicago 2022. Like,
it's gonna be
spring
like
training crew.
2009 or 10
the curse.
Heat. Whatever, where like Chris Bosh, D Wade, and LeBron all signed at the same time. It's just gonna be Rizzo,
Jock, Bryant. I don't know, man. That's how I feel. You want to get into
Baez, that's who we're missing.
Yeah, I feel like if anybody was not to go back, of all of them, I think Baez would be the one to just be like the one who just left the boy band. Like, I feel like if all of them were to come back, he'd be the one.
Yeah, he's too busy trying to prove Mets fans wrong.
Yeah,
he'll die on that hill. So,
dude, people like apparently the Yankees tried to get him, and apparently that's still a relatively warm idea is that Baez could come to New York.
I do not want Javi Baez.
I don't want Baez whatsoever.
He is exactly what and this is what I mentioned.
Hate the idea of Baez.
This is what I mentioned at the top of the show. He is a shortstop version of Joey Gallo. He has no regard for the strike zone. He swings at everything. He quite literally has the worst eye in the league. And it's ridiculous. So, I don't know, man. I want to get into the 161 awards?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
All right, so this is the first annual 161 awards. Like we mentioned before, we asked you guys to vote on the last episode. If you want to hear the nominations and you didn't, go back to that. It's the second half of last week's episode, where we each nominated a person for each of the awards that we made, and we asked you guys to vote on them. And if you missed out on that, sorry. I guess if you're listening to it, just like pause it and then like guess who you would vote for, and then like put your vote. I don't know what you want to do, but go back and listen. We'll do whatever the hell fuck you want to do. The 161 awards, the first annual. You guys excited?
Oh yeah,
ecstatic.
So I didn't tell them the actual final results for all of these, so I'm the only one who knows this, so it's going to be kind of fun to go through this, but without further ado, let's get into the first award. So, for the first award, let me get the sound queued up. Wrong sound, that's the gripe alert sound. The Team MVP award will be going to Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
And I think
that's the most
that's an obvious
award.
one. He hit for the other nominees are, and here's what I'm gonna do going forward for the rest of these, because I'm clearly this the first ever 161 awards. So going forward for the other awards, I'm gonna say the nominees once again, and then I'm gonna read off his stats first, and then I'll play that sound, and then we'll explain the winner, and then we'll talk about that, and that's gonna be how that's gonna go down. So it's a work in progress as we do this live. But Aaron Judge, I think this is obvious. The other nominees were Judge, Stanton, Lasagna, Garrett Cole. Stanton came in second. It was basically a two-headed race there. I mean, Judge's numbers at the end of the year, he played a lot of games. I don't have the exact number. I think it's like 145, 150. I didn't check that out. But 287 batting average, 39 home runs, 98 RBIs, 916 OPS, 149 OPS plus, and a 5.9 WAR. Like, that's
MVP, American League MVP numbers.
Yeah, if Ohtani didn't exist and Vlad didn't exist, he's up there. I think Simeon's gonna be up there also, but like he's gonna get MVP votes, and that's a fucking awesome year. And I'm not gonna take anything away from Stanton, but Judge had a bigger role. He played defense all year long, so like that's obviously got him more votes for team MVP from you, the fans. And it was close. A lot of people, and I think, and we talked about this last episode. I think that may be because recency bias, and like I feel like it would be if we asked this 2 months from now, I think Judge would win by a little bit more of a wider margin than he is now, because everybody's like voting based on what they just saw with Stanton. But I mean, Stanton had a damn good year too. So I don't know, thoughts on that? I thought this one was obvious though.
No, I think it's obvious. I think if we had still lost the wild card game, but Cole went 7 innings and gave up 1 run and struck out 12, I think he would have came in second.
Yeah. Judge played 148 games this year, so.
Yay,
Claps to
Judge.
him. Silencing the haters. That's a big deal.
It's great.
It's a
fucking
huge
deal.
deal. Please pay him. So
Yeah,
I don't have to.
he has to be paid. Next award is Cy Young. The nominees for Cy Young are Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez, Jonathan Loaisiga, Jordan Montgomery. And let's do this too. How about you guys both give me a guess for who you think won?
I think Nestor's gonna win this.
I think Garrett Cole's gonna win.
It's
not the fun, sexy answer.
I know. I think people just voted for Nestor.
Yeah, it's what the people want.
Yeah, I think if I was a people person,
I think Loaisiga has a shot. Then I'm gonna change my answer to Loaisiga.
Lock it in?
I'm locking in Loaisiga.
I keep pressing the wrong button.
Figure it out.
The winner of the Team Cy Young for the 2021 New York Yankees is... And yes, that is a SpongeBob Super Bowl trumpet sounds. Damon thought that would be fun to do. It's Garrett Cole. And I wasn't shocked by this. Garrett Cole deserves this award. And I'm glad the voters decided to actually go with the one that makes sense. I do think since it was given up to the fans, there are some people and a lot of people who would have a lot of people did vote. Nestor Cortez came in second here. And it was closer than you'd think. And I was kind of concerned. I was like, not that concerned because it doesn't really fucking matter. But I was just thinking in my head, like,
up at night thinking about it.
No, but like I think the better man won here. But it's fun to see that Nestor Cortez was even close. He came in fucking second over Loaisiga, over Montgomery. I mean, if you said that before the season started, that Nestor Cortez would receive Dundee Award or 161 award votes for Cy Young on this team, I tell you to literally go fuck yourself. So
yeah.
Snaps to Nestor for making it a close race there. Garrett Cole on the year, 3.23 ERA, 105 WHIP, 243 Ks, 181 innings pitched, 16-8 record with a 5.6 WAR. I mean, that's a damn good year.
It's a very good year.
So and that's probably the opposite of what happened with Stanton. Is that Stanton? I thought voters would be voting for him for MVP because of what they just saw, recency bias. Same goes for Cole. It was closer because the funny novelty vote for Nestor, that'd be fun. And also Garrett Cole was bad in the last month. So that's why it was closer than it was. I think this is also should have been like Judge winning MVP on the team. I think it should have been that same margin.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a finalist for the actual Cy Young. So
yeah,
he deserves it.
I don't think he's going to win it. Do you think he's going to win it?
I don't think so.
I don't think he really has a chance.
No, but that John Heyman thing, speaking of the Cy Young winner, they had Robbie Ray going to the Yankees. So
did he?
Yeah, I don't think I like it, though.
I like Rodon better. Next one is the best surprise. Ooh. This one's actually from the Dundies. I took this from Michael Scott. But the nominees for best surprise are Nestor Cortez, Jonathan Loaisiga, Clay Holmes, and Jordan Montgomery. And the winner of best surprise.
This one's definitely Nestor.
What do you think?
I think Loaisiga makes sense too.
Loaisiga has to get an award, man. I'm gonna lock Loaisiga in again.
Winner's Nestor Cortez.
There you go. It had to have been.
It did, but I didn't want to be the same.
I don't think Loaisiga was. Yes, he was a surprise in how good he was, but like he wasn't a fresh face that just came out and blew everybody out of the water. Like, you know what I mean? Like we all knew who Loaisiga was. We didn't know he was going to be a fucking all-star, but.
And that's what we were talking about in the nominations episode. Is I thought that. And I'll stop playing this music right now. I thought that I was kind of vibing though. I thought that Loaisiga, and the way you have to think about best surprise, and inversely, the next one is biggest disappointment, is what were your expectations, like you were saying, Damon, and where did they end up? Loaisiga, although we didn't expect him to be the closer, we expected him. We knew he had the raw talent, so this could have happened. It definitely could have happened. We hoped it could happen.
We put him in an episode with Sessa. Don't act.
I agree. No, but he had the raw talent. And that's why he's still on this list as being the best surprise, because he did the distance he's created from our expectations in the preseason to now are crazy. He became our most reliable, best reliever versus like he was an unpolished reliever that nobody really trusted at all. So yes,
starter.
Yeah, and he deserves votes here. But Nestor Cortez, I mean, when you talk about best surprise, you're getting a guy that is just a journeyman, wild guy, just doesn't really have an identity or anything. I don't even want to say he reinvented himself because he did this last time around with the Yankees. He came back. He was on the Yankees before and came back to the same team with really not much changed. And he just ended up balling out. I don't know what it was this year. I feel like it's the opposite. It's, people usually start to figure you out the longer you're in the league. People just forgot how to hit Nestor Cortez. I don't know what happened. So that's the best surprise. His numbers this year, 2.90 ERA, 93 innings pitched, 2-3 record, 107 whip, 2.8 WAR. Those are wild numbers for Nestor Cortez. The number 2 person who got votes for this award was Clay Holmes. I agree with that because Clay Holmes, and like we were saying before, of how you should vote for this one going forward, because we're going to do this next year also. We did not, and I joke about this, we did not welcome Clay Holmes with open arms. So
yeah, he was a nobody.
And then he ended up being
really, really bad face stats.
Yeah. And he ended up being one of our most trusted relievers down the stretch too. So congrats to all people who are nominated. Better luck next year. Yeah. Want to move on to the next one?
Sure.
So biggest disappointment. The nominees for biggest disappointment are Gleyber Torres, DJ LeMahieu, Zach Britton, Joey Gallo. Like I said before, these guys all had expectations coming into this year, some of which very, very high, and none of them performed. So, the jury's out. We put the votes out there. What do you guys think the winner of this, who do you think is going to win this award? Not an award you want to win.
Gleyber,
DJ, Britton, Gallo. Who you got?
I have to stick with my guns from the preseason since I had him as my dark horse MVP. To me, he's the biggest disappointment.
Who?
You didn't say it.
Gleyber?
I mean, I said it like 4 times, but I'll say it again.
I'm gonna go with DJ because that's also what I personally think is the biggest disappointment.
What an awful award sound for this one.
It was Damon's idea. It's a bad award to win. Yeah, it's still gonna be the same thing. The winner of biggest, the winner, or should I say, I guess, loser of biggest disappointment is Gleyber Torres. I mean, Chandler, you hit it right on the nose. We talked about this before too, and our expectations for him were so high. We thought he was gonna take that next step, just to becoming possibly one of the leaders in MVP votes on the Yankees. He's been taking steps since he came up in the league. He had that 1 year where he juice balls, albeit, but 38 home runs. He was awesome in the clutch in that Houston series and everything. And it's like, yeah, Gleyber's going to take that next step. He's so young. He's literally our age. And like he just didn't. I don't know what happened. It's just like, it's kind of baffling to me. 259 batting average, 9 home runs. Not 6. I said 6 before. 9. 697 OPS, 93 OPS plus, 0.8 WAR, 0.8 WAR. Like, that's bad. Defense wasn't great. We were talking about it earlier in the year. If you look back,
That's
it's like
generous to say it wasn't great.
no, but like you remember we talked about how wild it was that he led the Yankees in defensive WAR, and that's like just goes to show you, like nobody fucking knows how WAR is calculated. If Gleyber Torres is the leader in WAR on the Yankees for defensive,
No, he was the leader in the league.
Yeah, like I just don't believe that.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
But that was also in like April. So
Yeah, I don't know. Ward makes no fucking sense to me, but that's not a good one. And I mean, honestly, 93 OPS plus, not bad. That's about league average hitting, but like that's not what you want out of guys like Gleyber Torres, especially like we said. We're gonna keep going back to this expectations. Like he had on this list, I would say who did you have more expectations for, him or DJ?
him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think DJ, but it's definitely fucking close. DJ because he's done it. Gleyber because I expected him to take that next step to become a DJ-like player.
I didn't expect. DJ. I expected DJ to just stay steady as the solid top of the order bat. Hit for average, nothing flashy. He's ugly, scrappy, gets it done. He's our guy.
It's ugly.
Gleyber, yeah, it's ugly.
Oh, I thought you said he's ugly.
No.
So that's rude.
I said it's ugly, but
Oh, brother.
Gleyber.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
Oh, I should have fucking queued that up.
Staying with the SpongeBob.
Yeah.
No, I expected Gleyber to, like you said, take the next step, not to be the next DJ, but to be one of the next premier superstars in the league. Like he was on track after 2019 to legitimately be in the MVP conversation. And there was a small period where it was talking about he was in that category of Corey Seager and those guys as the top shortstops. And then now here we are.
Yeah, he has such a high ceiling, and I think that's why the disappointment was there. Because even though DJ didn't have a great season, a DJ-like season, let's say, I mean, he still hit like 270, which, again, it's not what DJ really is, and we know he can do better, but 270 isn't terrible.
And I think he doesn't deserve that because, I mean, I agree with the fact that he wasn't himself because of the injury. And with Gleyber, like, yeah, he got hurt a couple of times during the year. I think he got COVID, but like, I think
He
more
was good from like June on, but even then he lost his power numbers and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, power was.
So with this, do you think this is like going into next year? Gio, like, he's obviously not Gio. Gleyber's obviously going to get reps. He's going to be the everyday second baseman, or he's going to be second baseman. That's, I think, 99.99% sure he's going to be a second baseman. What are your expectations for him now? Way too early expectations for Gio. I keep saying Gio. Gleyber.
Damien, would you like to go first?
I mean, expectation-wise, I would need him to be what he was in 2019. Like, he needs to have. I know
the home runs
that's the goal in my mind, but I think that he needs to just kind of like he needs to get his confidence back, and he needs to get a little bit of that power back because
will go a long way in that.
Because when you think about his hits when he was actually hitting, there were bloopers, there were singles, they were flicking the ball. They were he was just seeing a pitch and then just putting the bat on it.
Well,
like
BJ was talking about he had by far one of the lowest average velocity.
Yeah,
average exit velocity.
Other than Gardner.
His swing, like there was clearly something wrong, and I don't know what it was.
Maybe he genuinely needed the glasses. He wasn't making good eye contact on it.
His swing just looked so different, and I just need him to get some of that velo back and that exit velocity and that power back, because when he has that power back and when he has that swing down, that's really what makes him a great baseball player. Like, he's not the type of guy that's just gonna flick the ball around. That's not the type of player he is.
I also
Do you
think
agree
he's
with the
somebody
notion
that needed this season to end. I
agree.
I think an off season is going to do him well. Reassess, readjust, get a hitting coach that can actually like. There's a situation where a hitting coach matters. A young player who is impressionable.
The shortstop thing makes a difference because I was listening to somebody talk about it the other day. I was like, yeah, the errors he's making as shortstop, or he's taking him out and into the batter's box. It's stuff that's weighing him down. He's thinking about us. No, I totally agree. That's what I think. Moving him back to second, and to answer your question about the expectations, I don't expect 2019 again. I think that's a product of juice balls.
I don't either, but
everything. But I think a realistic expectation, if he's at second, is a 270 plus hitter, and I think 20 home runs.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
and
I'd be cool with 20. That's the over under we're gonna set.
270, 20 home runs. I'm happy.
On his roll call, we're gonna set we're basically doing a Gleyber Torres roll call right now, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I think because he is a large part of the reason why this team wasn't what it was supposed to be is because, like, yeah, we talked about the expectations of what he was supposed to be, but like he was also a breath of fresh air. Like he could hit for average, and he was a guy who was a clutch hitter for this team. He ended up hitting 259. Still, that's not horrible. It's like that's actually not bad whatsoever.
After his start too.
Yeah, that means he did have a good second half of the year, which is promising. So it's just like, I don't know, man. I think the offseason will help him a lot. I think a new hitting coach and all that will help him a lot. I think another year in the league will help him a lot. I think being at second, I don't know how much that matters, but it definitely won't hurt having your position known. Yeah, I just think, I feel like being a shortstop too, and then we'll move on from this. Like, you're tasked with being the quarterback of the infield, and I don't think he's ready to be a leader. Like, we always talked about, who would you build a team around? We actually had that conversation. Who would you build a team around, Gleyber Torres or Aaron Judge? And I think the answer is I think
we said Gleyber in spring training.
Yeah. because he's younger and he had more. I mean, the idea was there. Like, I wouldn't change my opinion then. It's just like, holy shit, were we wrong? That could have been made it on the back end of this award ceremony as worst takes, but just us all together is that, I mean, but like I was saying, he is, when you're the starting shortstop coming into the year, you're the quarterback of the infield. Like, you have a lot of responsibility on you. Everything's on you to get everybody in shape, and like, you're anchoring that defense, and he just doesn't have that. He's not a vocal guy. He's just kind of one of the guys that are there, and he's just like happy to be there. He's like a Devers. Like, could you see Devers like firing up the team? No, he's supposed to just play well, and that's that. And he plays third, not shortstop. He can make some errors here and there. Like, a guy who makes that many errors is never going to be the guy that can like anchor the defense down, and that's why we need a guy like Correa who could be, or Seager, but like that's why I want Correa, for that outspokenness, you can like build a team around, and people will like rally around you. And I don't know. I want to move on from this, but I think better days to come for Gleyber.
Agreed.
And DJ. Britton, no. Gallo, no. I hope Gallo, but I don't think so. Moving on to most likely to be sent to the Sun next year. This person could not have been sent to the Sun at all this year. So they will be a new member of the Sun for the first time. First time Sun occupant next season. Basically most likely to regress. And for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time now, the being ongoing thing that we were talking about during the year was getting sent to the Sun is not a place you want to go. So the nominees are Aaron Boone, since he will be back now, Joey Gallo, Miguel Andujar, and Gleyber Torres. So if you guys...
We just hyped up Gleyber Torres, so I'm not going to say him.
I'm going Gallo.
I think Gallo's going to win.
Well, we hyped up Gleyber Torres, but the fans voted.
Right, I know. But for...
You think they think the way we do?
I think it's a two-headed race between Gallo and Gleyber.
I think for purposes of this podcast, I'm going with Gallo.
What did you say, Chandler?
I said I think it's a two-man race between Gallo and Gleyber, but my original pick was Gallo.
I also said Gallo when the award started too. Keep in mind. Nice.
I get it.
So, this person hit for 160 this season 707 OPS, 88 strikeouts, 13 home runs, and 93 OPS plus. His name is Joey Gallo. Those were his numbers with the Yankees specifically. And honestly, just kudos to me. That I just quickly searched up Here Comes the Sun, actually 1 second before it started playing. So that was on the fly, improv for me. So, claps to me. But
you can't take it down for copyright now.
Yeah, that's why I'm lowering it now. But
shh, don't listen to YouTube. We're not doing anything wrong, I promise.
This is the obvious pick. We put Boone down here before we even knew he'd be back. And I don't know. We haven't sent a manager to the Sun, but I think he could be the first. I guess our lens wasn't really looking at that because there was probably moments where he could have been sent to the Sun. But yeah, Joey Gallo. Surprising that we didn't. I think we just slacked on this one. He should have been sent to the Sun at lots of points.
I
when
think
he was
we were
on the
all
Yankees.
optimistic.
Yeah, he wasn't here long enough to be like, okay, like we've had a full season of this guy sucking ass. Like let's send him to the fucking Sun. Never
He
bring
was
him
just
back.
such a big acquisition too that I was like, okay, and it was
He'll
just
turn it around.
Time ran out so fast. We were just like, okay, well, he's a childhood Yankees fan. It's his dream. Give him a second to get settled. And
Everybody's
then
everybody's a fucking childhood Yankees
but
fan.
the time he got settled, it was just like, oh fuck, the season's over, and he is abysmal.
You know why? Because the childhood Yankees didn't fucking hit home runs or strike out. That was not what they did, and clearly he got the emulation wrong. Yeah, I mean, the definition of getting sent to the Sun is having horrible stretches, and of all these players, like Gallo's a streaky player. I can foresee him having a fine year and still being sent to the Sun because he just has a moment like Stanton. Obviously, we're gonna give him a little longer of a leash because we know how fucking good he is, but like guys who end up being really streaky and get really cold, like that's when you get sent to the Sun. You got to do a lot of shit to get sent to the Sun. Speaking of which, the next award is the Sun Meister. These people did a whole hell of a lot of shit this season. And these guys all have spent time on the Sun and got very comfortable there. Some were sent and never came back. All of these ended the season on the Sun. So the Sun Meister, the Sun Mayor of the Sun, the nominees are Nick Nelson, Brooks Kriske, Jay Bruce, and Andrew Heaney.
I know the answer, so I'm not going to say anything, Chandler.
I mean, I feel like I think Heaney is the for sure slam dunk answer, but I think that Brooks Kriske deserves some recognition here. Like, what Brooks Kriske did in his time here should not go unrecognized.
It's Andrew Heaney. I'm not even gonna finish this. This was a absolute runaway. Like not even fucking close. I think there were three votes given to other people. No, I'm kidding. There was occasional votes here and there for other people, but like 99% of the votes went to Andrew Heaney. Second place was I think it was Brooks Kriske. I didn't write. I wrote down who came in second and third for all the other ones, but this one was so lopsided that I didn't even write down who came in second because it didn't matter. Like it showed me the bars of like who was voting. It wasn't even. I could barely see it. Like who came in second, which bars were bigger.
Yeah, no. I hope Andrew Heaney listens to this podcast.
I don't. His numbers with the Yankees. Is he back next year? By the way.
I don't.
You have to
think
deal
so.
with that.
Well,
he won't be on. Yeah, he won't be on the Yankees. Hopefully.
He fucking might be. He got like 8 or 9 starts.
God, I fucking hope not. His numbers with the Yankees this year: 7.32 ERA, 35 innings, 35 innings pitched, which is so much, just agony. Every inning he was in was a fucking home run or it was so bad. Like he should have realistically. He was on the Sun. I think this is where we can measure this. He made it to the Sun probably at like 10 innings pitched. And then he subsequently had 25 more innings pitched while on the Sun. Like these are his numbers.
Start.
These are his numbers on the Yankees. I should have a breakout of his numbers while he was on the Sun.
He set the record for most home runs in a Yankee debut. He broke a record a bad record. And his first time ever putting on fucking pinstripes, he broke the record for most home runs given up.
Yeah, it's 13 home runs allowed.
Well, he gave up 4 in his first start.
Yeah. No, I know. But for the year with the Yankees, 13 in 35 innings pitched. That's not good. Wow, that's bad. And yeah, no, just bad. We're moving on from that. I hope to never see his name again. I had dreams. I had nightmares of seeing Andrew Heaney pitching in baseball, in meaningful baseball games, because I know that.
When he came in against the Orioles and blew a 3-run lead?
Yeah. So we got about 4 more of these. So next one we wanted to do was the Brinks Truck Award, which we talked a lot about this, so I'll keep this brief. This is basically the number 1 free agent we want in the offseason. We talked about who the people we wanted, and we wanted to see where you guys were at, because, we want to see where everybody else is at. Now this person we're going to pursue, because we're with you guys through and through. This is gonna be the number 1 target for us. Not that that fucking changes anything, but actually it kind of does, because last offseason we spoke multiple moves into existence. Neither of those panned out, but I did say I wanted Darren O'Day. That didn't really work out too well, but we just do still have him. And I did say I wanted Corey Kluber. We did get him. That didn't.
I'd say those worked
That was
out
a success.
decently.
That was-
I mean,
that was-
when he was
O'Day just
healthy,
got
he
hurt.
was fine.
Well, no, I'm saying I think Kluber was a success.
He threw a no-hitter.
Darren O'Day had that one stretch where he was lights out, and then he's hurt. He's just old.
See, that just proved like that the move made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So nominees are, like I said, or I didn't say them: Corey Seager, Starlin Marte, Carlos Rodon, and Carlos Correa. What do we think?
Seager.
I think Marte won that.
No fucking way.
Corey Seager.
Yeah,
Good.
it has to be.
I agree with that. I just putting myself in people's shoes. That's all.
Corey Seager's numbers this year: 306 batting average, 145 OPS plus, 915 OPS, 16 home runs. It's exactly what we need.
Sign me up.
And he plays shortstop.
Ain't that 25 home runs at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah.
Well, he also missed like 60 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Ain't that
so
45 home runs?
There he is.
Yeah. I mean, the second place was Correa, which not really shocked. I think a lot of people are on the same team as like,
Fuck it, let's just win.
yeah, like I think it's okay. Like a lot of people have looked past it.
I can't picture Correa without his like really shitty facial hair.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just it's a part of what makes him such an asshole. Is I just see his like
his patches.
Yeah, it's like patchy ass beard, and I see him. It's like, fuck you, double.
Yeah, and we've spoken a lot about this, and we still this is a big time. We'll talk about these all off season. Starlin Marte, everybody knows how I feel about that. I fucking want Starlin Marte in pinstripes. It makes sense, and that I don't think that these are, I don't think these are mutually exclusive. Like you can't just only have one of them. Is that the correct way to say that?
No, but I know what you're saying.
You can't have one without the other.
I don't know.
I think that is true.
I did see a prediction that
I think they can get.
Lockridge could
I think
make
they
his
can get both.
debut in 2022. Friend of the pod.
That'd be sick.
That would be fun. Friend of the pod.
That guy.
We do know
I
that
would rather
guy.
see Lockridge in center field than Starlin Marte.
I agree. I'm with you. Just because we had beers with him,
and
so like
cooler.
that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So, shout out us. Next one, moment of the year. We all nominated our favorite moments this season. The nominees for moment of the year are, because there were some good moments that happened this year, so I want to highlight those. Number one. Well, not number one, but one of the nominees are Stanton's go-ahead grand slam versus Boston at the end of the season. That was Damon's nominee for moment of the year. Stanton's home run go-ahead in the Field of Dreams game. That was Murph's nominee for moment of the year. Kluber's no-hitter was Chandler's nomination for moment of the year. And Lasagna's bases loaded jam. Actually, that was an honorable mention. Cole versus the Astros was my nominee for moment of the year. And I don't think that's the moment of the year. I just put that in there because you guys took mine. But that was that needed to be in there. So the winner of that, and what do we think the fans voted for that?
I think Stanton grand slam for recency bias and just pure excitement.
Yeah, I'm saying that just so everyone agrees with me.
It is the Stanton grand slam versus
go!
Boston. That was a landslide.
What was
Really?
second?
Yeah, that
Field
was
of Dream second?
that one was not very close. Second was the no hitter.
Really?
Third Field of Dreams. Fourth Cole versus Astros.
Interesting.
I was shocked that was a landslide. Maybe it is recency bias again, but
I don't know. I genuinely was most excited when that happened.
No, the grand slam was fucking sweet.
Like, the no-hitter was sick, but, like...
The no hitter, we were also just like not scoring. It was like a 1 or 2-0 game.
It also was like
We
it
were in
wasn't
a
an important
stretch of
game.
not
It was like a
scoring.
random
Exactly.
like Thursday or something.
It was a Wednesday night, and
yeah.
a Wednesday night in Texas
Kluber
was it
becomes part of
Wednesday or
history.
Tuesday? No, it
on
was a
Kluber
Wednesday.
bobblehead night.
Yep.
In Texas, they had extra Kluber bobbleheads and they were giving them away. It was like variety night. It was it was like Lance Lynn was in that too. They were just giving away extra ones that are no longer on the
clean
team.
out the storage night.
Yeah. It's like when a person gets traded and you go to the MLB store, they have all like the shirt jerseys and everything of like
They're all on
Rizzo
sale.
and they're all on sale. Like,
half
why would
off.
you want those? So they were just giving those away. Bobbleheads, that's better to have than a shirt jersey or something like that. 'Cause I have bobbleheads like Zach Britton when he was on the Orioles or like Chapman on the Reds. Like those are fun. But like, why would you want? Like, you have to wear the shirt. That's stupid. Next award, and good for Stanton for coming home with an award here.
Some hardware.
First one. Like I
Very
said
well
before
deserved.
on the nominations episode, the person who comes away with the most awards in this entire award ceremony is named. What did I say was named?
You said they're our favorite player next year.
The
I don't think we came
the
with
boy
the
of
name yet.
161st Street. We'll call it that.
Yeah.
161 man. No, the boy of 161st Street.
161 man.
The boy of
Sounds like a-
161st Street.
Sounds like a superhero.
Yeah. Well,
Where do
to
you
be named
rank-
later, but we'll put nominations up for that, and you guys can vote for whoever takes the most hardware back tonight, and we have to just absolutely love them. Can just
Unconditional support.
unconditional support from this team right here, and nothing they can do will change that. And
Where do you rank this award for Stanton in his like career accolades? I put it at 1A, 1B with the MVP.
yeah, it's definitely in the trophy case.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to
We
make
might
sure
have
we're
to
on the
send
same
him
page.
something.
I think we should.
We'll send him a shirt when we figure out what the name is. Of
Yeah.
What he's going to be.
Yeah.
I think we
So,
should get him a
if it's
really
him.
shitty plastic trophy.
Speaking of which, he is also nominated for the next award called the Iron Balls Award. And that award was, honestly, nominees are Lasagna, Stanton, Judge, and Odor. Iron Balls Award is just basically, who has the most balls in clutch situations, most clutch Yankee. This award, this name was given to somebody. So, like, Lasagna created this. We called Lasagna Iron Balls because of moments where he just has had iron balls. So, like, my vote is being swayed by that, and I honestly would put Lasagna here.
I would too. Honestly, when you
Stanton-
first said it, I was thinking him, but I think the most realistic choice of the people is probably Judge.
Really?
Yeah, he
I
was.
was going to say
clutch.
Stanton again, but I also
Judge
personally...
is really good in clutch spots.
I know, but I think Stanton had a few more memorable ones because they were in later parts of the game
True.
and more like go-ahead stuff.
They're flashier.
I do just want to say Odor because
Odor
so
deserves-
fucking clutch.
Well, he probably had like 21 hits, and they
Yeah,
were all
and,
in
like-
clutch spots.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the nominees, like I said, are those, and the winner of the Iron Balls Award is Giancarlo Stanton.
Nice.
There.
That's 2 back-to-back right now. He's currently the leader right now, is he not?
No one else has two.
You have all the results.
Yeah, nobody else has 2. Yeah, wow.
I'm
Nice.
upset Loizaga doesn't have a.
He came in second.
award.
Loizaga came in second here. Loizaga has been coming in like second and third in a lot of them. He was well nominated, but he's just been coming in second. It sucks, but like Stanton, I think was the real answer here, and I think recency bias that in this spot is fine because he did it in October. That's the most recent. Like that's when it mattered when we were in a playoff race. Like the whole last month of the season was October essentially. and that's when he turned it on. So it's like, okay, recency bias or not, those were the clutch spots where if you perform there, you have iron balls. So that I'm okay with. I'm okay. And this was not a landslide, but I would have also put my vote in here. He had the highest OPS by a Yankee hitter in postseason history. The third highest, behind Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Giancarlo Stanton, Reggie Jackson.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Good company.
Minimum 50 plate appearances. That's wild. He had 20 go-ahead hits, by far the most on the Yankees.
Home run game in the wild card.
Yeah, he would have if it was at Yankee Stadium, probably. Just wild. And I'm glad we have Stanton. And if you wanted to trade him, then go fuck yourself, Damon. Next, what were you thinking?
What do you mean?
Good segue. What were you thinking award?
What were you thinking?
Worst take on this show. And the nominations are, these are nominations we put out about ourselves. The nominations for this award are Trade Stanton. Damon Romeo said that. When did you say that?
It was very early on. But
I think it was around the deadline.
No, come on. I did not say that. I said it very early on in the season.
I remember the episode. It was in May. I remember it.
That's pretty fucking early.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's incorrect and it's a bad take. That's why
That's
why it's here. The next one is Murph said that Cashman had an A+ offseason. I believe the exact words were Cashman really left his paper to the last second and just got an A+ because he threw together a bunch of moves at the end.
Yeah,
which hold on. We were pretty happy about the offseason just because of and it did come together at the end.
We were excited because of DJ.
Yes, and in hindsight, and on the Kluber move made sense. It's exciting. Like he might get a possible resurgence. Like you might just catch lightning in a bottle there. The Darren O'Day thing, I was just super pumped about. Jameson Tyone, you never knew you might get lightning in a bottle there too. Like the moves weren't horrible, but the way it panned out and him saying an A+ offseason, not a good take. That aged like fucking milk. So next one, I said this one. If you want to talk about aged like milk, this was the worst take I think anybody who's ever had a microphone in front of them has ever had. And I'll say it, hand up, it's bad. I said Clint Frazier will be a top 3 left fielder. And mind you, I'm not talking about on the Yankees because he's still not even the top 3 left fielder on the Yankees. I said he'll be a top 3 left fielder in all of baseball, and he is not playing baseball. And this isn't laughs because he's dealing with some shit right now. But the take, bad one, not a good one. Currently not playing baseball. Don't know if he will be.
Yeah, I mean,
Clint, I feel bad for you. I'm not shitting on you, Clint. But I mean, was I wrong?
I will say I did support this take, so I'm not going to completely throw you under the bus because
I did not.
I did support this because I'm still a huge Clint fan, and I did want him to be,
you
starting
shunned
left fielder. What?
You shunned Clint
Towards the end of the year, but
bullshit. You shunned him in like May.
Yeah, no, it was early
Damon
on.
was on a hot
all right,
take
May
in
must have been a crazy month for me. I guess I don't know.
Must have been pissed off. Bad day at work.
Yeah. Whatever.
Making me work late. Fuck you, Clint. And
food's cold. Fuck you, Clint.
And the last one was Miggy is the Dogecoin of MLB, and that was Chandler's take. Miggy just hasn't done it.
Well, neither has Dogecoin.
He did come. Dogecoin has not done it anymore either. Everything else is up, and I guess that's not the same with Miggy because everything else is not up on the Yankees. But yeah, Miggy not really. I believe the exact thing you said, and we did put out a quote of this, is like Miggy's the Dogecoin, and then I'm buying up as much as I can. I'm buying up all the stock in him. I actually made a coin with Miggy's face on it, and it was like the Dogecoin coin, and did not age well. Not a good take, and yeah. So
as a proud Dogecoin owner, I take that one back.
So if you guys had to choose who you think the worst take would be out of us,
it has to be you.
I think it has to be me also.
I agree.
All bad takes, but it's me. It's the worst take by far. I mean, the dude isn't playing baseball, and we don't know if he will. Yeah, nothing against Clint, but that is the worst take. I'll hand up, bad one. I mean, that'll happen. We are in the business of making takes. Some won't work. Some will be really bad. Some will be good.
If you bat 300, you're a Hall of Famer. So,
well, you got to do a few other things too. But yeah, if you bat 300, you got a shot at the Hall of Fame.
You're an above average player if you're right 30% of the time.
Okay, Luke. That's
if you
just
don't-
a saying. You don't have to be an asshole about it.
The thing is, though, never mind. Next take of the year. I didn't put this one up as a poll because I feel like this needed more context to, like, I there wasn't enough space on an Instagram story to put up these, because mine is like, and you, if you're listening, know and have seen these on social media, as I said, like, it's being bad good. And basically what I said there was that we were so bad, and I'll be short about this because this is a long, drawn out, like, it was convoluted. And what it basically was is, like, we were so bad and we had names that were good on paper and they were underperforming too. And since we were so bad, we were forced to buy extra assets that we would not have done otherwise at the deadline had we been good from the start. And on paper, after the deadline, we now have a better team on paper. And if the players that were playing bad decide to play good again, then we're cooking with gas and we're actually better off that way. It ended up being true. We got Gallo and Rizzo because of that. It didn't obviously pan out. Like, we didn't win the damn thing, but the premise still remains the same. We were a better team because of it. This was coming off a horrible time. We were 500 at this point when I said this too, well into the season as well. So next one, a little more clear cut, was Chandler in the roll call episodes early on in the season said Loaisiga is being groomed as the next closer. We all actually laughed in his face. This is one of the ones that we were pretty much all on the same team with a lot of these takes. Like, the bad takes, we all were, like, nobody really shat on each other for these takes. We're shitting on them now, but in the moment, we did not accept this take.
You guys were very, very rude about it, and it was right after roll call. It was in, like, I think it was after the first week of the season. He got like 3 or 4 appearances and had a 0 ERA and was at like 16 Ks per 9. I was like, I'm telling you, here it is. And you guys just, it was my rounding third in an episode is what it was.
I mean, there was no reason to think that he could at that point in time. At that point, other than the raw talent, like, everything we've seen prior was just wild. Like, I don't know. He ended up taming it all. It's crazy. The 180. That's why he was one of the best surprises. Didn't come home with the hardware, but yeah, the winner for this one, because I mean, Murph had one also. He said, "I don't want to see Bruce Dietrich." I mean, that's like barely a take. He was rushed, and Damon did not give us a take, but Damon,
I don't have any good takes. That's why
Damon kind of just Damon's a listener and a responder to other takes.
Just play the tape from Damon's May. We can probably find tape.
I probably had some. I'll just keep track of my ones from now on, because
just only in the month of May. Damon's very fiery in the month of May. We've learned.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe that's where all my takes come out.
So the winner of this one, we didn't vote because we didn't put it on the story because it would have required.
I'm giving it to Chandler.
I'm gonna give it to Chandler too, because yours actually worked out. Mine did work out on paper, but then did not. If we won the World Series because of Rizzo and because of Gallo, I win. But
his take's a lot more direct too. It's like,
that's why
what's going on. This was happening.
Yeah, if I put that up as a poll, I wouldn't get a single vote because mine would say, "Is being bad good?" Unless you knew the context, and then his says Loaisiga for closer. So if I put that up, you would get literally every single vote. Not everyone. I would vote for myself.
Here's this paragraph and a half about why I think being bad is good.
Yeah, I would have had to give so much context. It's like, no, but you don't understand. It's actually, or I would put an entire paragraph as a separate story post before it. Like, all right, so I'm going to put a poll up on the next story.
See, what happened was...
And just to give you a preliminary rundown as to what you need to know going into this poll before you vote. So this is basically what I said, and like, don't listen to what he said. And I would make your poll like the tiniest little thing, like, oh yeah, and over here is Loaisiga going to be the closer. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you could beat that take. In April calling
good one.
Of that.
Good one. Miggy Dogecoin.
Yeah, fucking Clint Frazier, top 3 left fielder.
Oh, I kind of love that. That was such a bad take. Fantastic content. Next and final award that we're going to give out this awards ceremony. I think it's probably a good one to keep at the end because they've been around the longest. It's the Silver Fox Award.
Mm-hmm.
People who age like fine wine, the nominees for the Silver Fox Award. And this is another one where this award was created out of like a nickname for somebody that we said during the year. I always call Darren O'Day the Silver Fox. I'm in love with Darren O'Day. Don't know why I don't have his bobblehead yet. I'm gonna add that to cart as soon as we stop recording here. But the nominees for this one are Darren O'Day, Corey Kluber, Lucas Licky, and Gardy. And the minimum age here is 34 years old. It's basically the best scrappy veteran on the team. Very important part of the team. You need to have a scrappy fucking veteran because if you don't, I don't know, you get the experience out of them. They don't cost a lot. I just think it's a perfect. This is a very sought after award. If we're gonna pick anybody to walk away from this award ceremony and actually be proud of this award, it's the Silver Fox Award.
Out of respect, I have to go Gardner.
I agree. It's gotta be.
It is Brett Gardner.
Yeah.
I mean, the man was didn't have an awesome year, but everybody was pissed that he was back, and it's like, including me, hand up. I wasn't super happy because I thought he was going to take time away from Clint, and I didn't want that. Lo and behold, Clint took time away from Clint. So,
that being said, if he's back this year, I'm going to freak out.
I don't know. I don't agree. I think it's fine.
I think he's going to come back.
If we bring him back for like...
Okay, when does this end though? Every year we do the same
thing. He played 140 games. He's 30. He did.
140.
140 games is listed on his Baseball Reference.
Way.
That's I don't know if that maybe the defensive replacement games like that counts also, but regardless,
I'll look at it. Games started is different than games played.
Regardless, he was in 140 games this year.
I'm looking it up right now.
His numbers this year, while you're looking that up: 222 batting average, 10 home runs, 90 OPS plus, not bad. 689 OPS.
Yeah, it is bad. That's below average.
But for Brett Gardner at like 39 years old,
it's fine.
How old is he?
37.
I actually wasn't that far off. I was trying to be like outrageously. Oh my god, where's game started?
Turns out it's actually not on here.
Yeah, no, 140 games.
461 plate appearances. That's a lot. In 2019, he had 550. Like, just to put in perspective, like, he's getting a lot of at-bats.
He had very similar numbers to him as an everyday starter.
So when he played a fuck ton. Let's just put it at that.
And you got that for 1 year, $10 million contract or something like it is.
He played 140 games. That's real.
Yeah, if he's going to come back next year, which I mean, you can't say that you can't say that you don't want him back because he's going to cost less than what he costed this time around. We bring him back and we offer him like a year long supply to like Dave and Buster's, like he'll come back.
I don't want him back. Give the minor
Why
league
not
guys,
though? Because
give the fucking minor league guys a chance. How are we ever gonna get a center fielder replacement if Estevan Florial and I say Brandon Lockridge jokingly, but he's right there as well.
I'm not saying be the center fielder. I'm saying be.
Guys, I don't care. I don't care.
Center field depth because he's going to cost $5 million.
It's never going to happen.
Estevan Florial
he can never be a backup because
he can if you get Starlin Marte.
Estevan Florial cost $500,000.
My wish list. My wish list for this offseason, way too early. Bring up Estevan Florial. Go get Starlin Marte. Re-sign Gardy. That's your center field room.
No.
I think you should make Gardy the bench coach.
Jackie Moon.
Moon it.
Jackie Moon minus the playing. I love Brett Gardner. He did an awesome job this year. You're never going to figure out what you have in the outfield if you keep bringing him
You think he should just ride off into the sunset?
Yes, for fuck's sake. Stop bringing him back. You're doing a detriment to the rest of the team.
He should be a third base coach.
That's fine. He's bald. He can do it. He can be angry.
That's the only requirement is to be bald.
I think he shouldn't wear a helmet if he coaches third.
Yeah.
And he has to wear his pants down.
All right.
This is a super long episode.
I was just about to say, I feel like we've been talking for a long time.
An hour and 49 minutes.
Jesus.
So we're giving the people
Are
what they
people
want.
still listening?
Yeah.
Hope so.
Nice. How's it going, guys?
If you made it this far and you haven't given us a review yet, what the fuck? We need those.
We do.
Keeps the lights on here. If you can give us a review on iTunes, we'd really appreciate it. Go subscribe to the YouTube to watch these episodes live. Just search up in your search bar when you go to YouTube first, youtube.com. Bronx Pinstripes. I know it's confusing. We're on there. We're under them. So like we do their YouTube. So right over there, you do the episodes the night before. Right now it's 11:27 on a Thursday. This episode's going out to the public via everywhere else.
Internet.
Tomorrow morning on the internets. And yeah, if you want them early, go check out the Bronx Pinstripes YouTube. A lot of fun things are going to go down there throughout the offseason and going forward. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. This is, I think this is the first episode where we officially send it off to the offseason. Now we can just get wild.
I wonder what
Yeah.
Steve and G are up to.
Stephen G.
Stephen G, if you're here at hour 2 of this podcast, hit us up. Let's go play some trivia again. Maybe we'll bring that back.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
All right, that'll do it for me. Should have done it from me like an hour ago, but that'll do it from us.